Zach Wilson bench. He does not have the locker room in the palm of his hand. What do you think about this? Going to Mike White, not Joe Flacco.
I don't know why this is the move. I mean, I think Zach Wilson's definitely deserving of a spot on the bench now. I'm going with Joe Flacco, honestly. He hasn't even been active the last couple of weeks, but let's be honest, we saw enough gunslinger from him in the first couple of weeks of the season that I think he's capable. I just don't know that Mike White is really going to get you very far.
I mean, they stuck Stooges at quarterback last year. I forget who the other guy was. He ended up playing a game for the Ravens when Jackson was out. But
Is it
they
Chris
some
Strebler?
something Johnson.
Oh, Josh Johnson.
Yeah, Josh
Yeah,
Johnson and Mike White both played a few games for the Jets at quarterback and did pretty well. I don't mind the Mike White move here. I don't think it's too bad. I think it should have been Joe Flacco in the case of Garrett Wilson really thrived with him.
right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Joe Flacco had a little bit more gunslinger to him. He's at this point in his career, he's the stereotypical backup quarterback now, kind of like a Taylor Heineke or Case Keenum, where you see the screw it, somebody is down there to catch the ball. That's kind of what Joe Flacco does, and I don't mind that of a backup, honestly. I mean, you're in there just to make something happen. You're not going to be the superstar necessarily. So if you can just make something happen, that's all you really need from them.
Yeah. So what do you do with Zach Wilson at this point? I mean, this whole draft class is kind of just coming crashing down. And Mac Jones is back up on his horse, but now we got another Kai coming down.
Yeah, so obviously the Trevor Lawrence thing, the jury's still out on that. It's not looking like it was going to go as planned originally. I mean, everybody thought they were drafting Andrew Luck. I don't think they drafted Andrew Luck. I think they drafted Diet Andrew Luck. But, you know, when you got a rookie, well, he's not a rookie anymore. You got a second year quarterback who hasn't lived up to expectations, played one of the most awful games of quarterback that anybody's ever seen. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, they're benching him now. This is it. They're not going to have him start again. I know there was something out there that I saw about Robert Sala said this is just the move that they came to the conclusion for right now, and they may turn back to Wilson in the future. But it's like, why would you? I mean, you placed your second overall pick from just a season ago on the bench. So I'm kind of curious what you think about where they go next year. So
I I have no idea, honestly. I think if the Niners still wanted to get rid of Jimmy G, I think it could be an option.
right. So this is obvious that this is the end of the Zach Wilson era, if you ask me. I mean, placing him on the bench, there's no coming back from that. You're not just going to recover from what he's gone through so far. So, my personal opinion, the Jets should go after a veteran quarterback next offseason, or this coming offseason, I should say. They shouldn't waste their time with a rookie in the draft because we've already played this game before. Zach Wilson, Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez, all that stuff. So, my proposal here, they go for one of two guys. Maybe they go for both. I don't know. But I think they should definitely be in on Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr.
Their car.
Derek Carr,
I think they
Las
could
Vegas
go.
Raiders quarterback Derek Carr.
I think they could honestly go for either quarterback from the 49ers. I know you probably wouldn't want to go for Trey Lance because it's the same draft class, but I think it's an option.
Yeah, to me, I almost feel like that's a bad move because first of all, you're admitting that you made a bad evaluation of Zach Wilson's talent and that you should have just picked Trey Lance.
Yeah.
That's whatever. But the other thing too is we've all kind of seen what the Carolina Panthers have done and just the buffoonery that we've seen out of that organization over the last 12 months or so. Actually, going back even further than that, maybe 18 months with the trading for Sam Darnold and then trading for Baker Mayfield a year later. I don't think we're going to see another team make that mistake for quite a while. At least I hope that's the case, because, we can't keep on going down this path of just trading for somebody else's old goods that didn't really work out. So my thoughts on Garoppolo and Carr. So let's go down the Jimmy Garoppolo path here first. All right. Jimmy Garoppolo, veteran, played in a Super Bowl, obviously. He's brought his team to the championship a couple times. Winning quarterback. Now, what's that?
That's a big one. He just wins games.
Right. And so this is something that I've been harping on for a while. So the 49ers, rather, looked at their quarterback situation and said, we went to the Super Bowl within the past couple of years of Jimmy Garoppolo. We feel like we've hit a glass ceiling with him. We need a dynamic player at quarterback who can also benefit our run game by running the ball himself. So my personal thoughts has always been, you should have just continued to build around Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't go and sell your entire future, which, by the way, could have really helped them the last couple of years to make it to the Super Bowl with all those first-round picks. Don't mortgage your future to try to get Trey Lance. So my personal thoughts are, if you put Jimmy Garoppolo in that Jets offense right now, I think he would far exceed expectations of what people have set for Zach Wilson and also what we thought of Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco this season. So my other thought here as to why Jimmy Garoppolo makes sense for the Jets. Now, I don't know what these guys' feelings are on Jimmy Garoppolo, but who's the head coach of the New York Jets? Remind me. I believe it's Robert Saleh. And can you remind me, where was Robert Saleh a defensive coordinator before he went to the Jets? Perhaps it was the San Francisco 49ers? Where's Jimmy Garoppolo playing right now? The San Francisco 49ers. He was on the same Super Bowl team as Robert Saleh. And if you look at their offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, who I believe was a part of the passing game coordination for San Francisco starting back in 2017. So both of these guys, again, I don't know how they feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. Both of these guys have a lot of experience with Jimmy Garoppolo, that being Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur. Now, Mike LaFleur is probably the bigger key here because he's going to be the one calling the offensive plays, because Robert Saleh is the defensive guy. But we've heard it all before. The locker room loves Jimmy. He's got the locker room. Everybody wants him to be the starter because, not only is he a good player, but he just brings everybody together. And statistically, I mean, you can maybe put him at a little lower level than like Kirk Cousins, but I think overall his vibe going into
You'd rather
a team,
have him over Kirk Cousins.
Right, or even a Derek Carr, because he's a proven winner. I mean, he's clearly elevated his team to another level.
I mean, what makes you think that the 49ers don't have that mentality of we still want to keep him? Like, they clearly were okay with getting rid of him, and they benched him at the start. So I don't know why people would think they want to keep him now. Their mind might not have changed at all.
Well, and it's got to be a really weird relationship too. I mean, the reason Jimmy Garoppolo is starting is because Trey Lance is out for the year, right? I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't really going to be playing quarterback for the 49ers at any point in 2022, other than the injury situation, unless if Trey Lance was just awful. But the thought about, like you said, what makes you think they're going to hold on to him? I got to imagine things are really awkward right now in San Francisco because I mean you can't tell me that they like each other
Yeah.
because Garoppolo didn't even have the playbook. He was playing on some practice field up until like right before the season started. So I think it's a weird dynamic. I don't think he's going to want to stay, nor should he want to. And I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a good move for him to go find somewhere else to play that they actually, throw the money at him that he deserves. And really, he's going to have a really good team to go to. I mean, rock solid defense. He's going to have awesome receivers, two amazing tight ends, and Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama. Brees Hall is going to be back
Yeah.
on this team next year. Michael Carter still at running back, along with James Robinson. This Jets team is going to add some pieces in the offseason, too. Now, they could add a Jimmy Garoppolo. This is going to be an amazing team next year. Right now, I think that they could potentially be the Super Bowl favorites going into next season.
Yeah, with the right quarterback, definitely.
So, since I threw out the Derek Carr thing, let's just chat about it because I think we should. I think we should do it some justice here. Talk about what Derek Carr would look like on the New York Jets. So, what do you think of this proposition of Carr being on the Jets?
I don't really like it. I don't really. I, I know Derek Carr is a very nice guy. You want to have him on your team for the presence. He's in that Kirk Cousins tier with Ryan Tannehill too.
My thing of wanting Derek Carr, so obviously Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the grand prize here, right? And with Jimmy Garoppolo, you can go buy him in free agency. You don't need to spend a bunch of trade capital to get Jimmy Garoppolo. So Derek Carr to me is like a consolation prize, I think. So Jimmy Garoppolo, this is going to be like Kirk Cousins of 2018. There's going to be a lot of suitors here, in my opinion. You're probably going to have Seattle, I would imagine,
I like
and
that.
maybe have the Falcons. I don't know if the Falcons would be into that or not, but who knows where Tom Brady's going after this year? I think Tom Brady could be out of Tampa Bay, so maybe they're a team that's looking. But then maybe the New York Giants. So the New York Giants could potentially be a team to look at too. So I think Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are both playing for different teams next year, for sure. Um, so the thing about Derek Carr is he's just better than Zach Wilson is right now. He's also pretty highly paid, which could be an issue for the cap, but he's got a contract that's able to be worked around a little bit. I mean, you can move stuff down the road if you want to, stuff like that. So I think this is doable for both of these guys. Again, Jimmy Garoppolo is the top prize. Derek Carr is the consolation prize here.
Yeah.
So to get Derek Carr, again, you're going to have to give up draft capital. I don't know exactly what that looks like. Now, at this point in time, I think we got two really good blueprints here. Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. You probably throw a couple thirds, maybe a fourth at him. Maybe a second. I doubt that they'd go as high as a second. But you throw a couple thirds at them, and I think that the Raiders would take that and they'd be looking for their quarterback of the future. I think this is obviously going to be a situation that we continue to talk about not only throughout the rest of the season, but during this offseason, this is going to be a really fun thing to talk about, and it's going to be fun to watch it unfold. So I'm really excited to keep on talking about this. So we'll get into I don't know if we'll be talking about this next week. I guess it all depends on if Mike White looks like he's better than Zach Wilson, which hopefully he is. I mean, my gosh. But until then, we will talk to you all later. Thanks for checking us out. Check us out on the streaming services too, anywhere you can find your podcast. Really like, subscribe, comment, share, all that. Leave a rating. See you later.